Welcome to Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. This will probably be about the last in a series of videos that we've been doing about various ways that you can request money from customers. We've mostly been talking about something called draw requests, which CHS has various different styles, and the different styles that you use might depend on what type of job it is, cost plus markup, cost plus builder fee, a fixed contract where you're drawing on a percent of maybe your budgeted costs marked up, or just fill in draw spreadsheets. All of these up here, except for the simple list of job checks, which we already explained, will produce major draw worksheets and draw requests that show prior drawn. They track the prior drawn. They'll show change orders, various things like that. But and those have to do usually with building homes. Now, if you have like real small jobs, like maybe small remodeling jobs, various things, you might want to be using a different feature, which is just a quick job cost billing, and that's what we will be talking about in this video. This particular quick job cost billing is under a section called Posted to Accounts Receivable. All of these various draw requests, etc., are not posted to accounts receivable. Generally, custom home builders, etc., just post the money when it's received, and they don't really want to junk up all their books with posting accounting, accounts receivable information. They know what draw requests they have out, and they usually get those in pretty quick. So I purposely do not have CHS just posting these to accounts receivable. For one thing, you might have a change in your draw request, and to have to go delete it from accounts receivable, then change it, I just think is too cumbersome. But there is one that will post to accounts receivable that will draw on your job cost posted. And again, like I say, it would probably be for smaller jobs, not ones with tons of costs that you're progressively drawing over a long period of time. So if you click the Help button for interim draw requests, you will see that there is one called Quick Job Cost Billings. And we do have a help document, and then we will have the video over here. But let's open the help document, and let's zoom in on it just a little bit. You can see that I'm talking about important note most of the time for homes, etc. You're using other types of interim draw requests, and you're not doing this one to accounts receivable, and that it's usually for smaller type jobs, etc. So if we go to the next page, we are told that we need to go to the accounts receivable menu actually to do this. If we jump back to our program, you'll see that if you click this button for quick job cost billing, it's telling you to go to accounts receivable. So first of all, I'd like to go to my jobs list and setup, and I'd like to show you something about this little one that I set up to just be like a remodeling job. You can see I called it a type remodel, and if I edit it, you will see that for one thing, I have checkmark tax alert and payables. This means that by the sales tax field, when you're paying a vendor and stuff, there'll be a little red exclamation point when you're entering bills. I checkmarked it on this remodeling job, so maybe it would help stop me and remind me that actually for my little remodeling job, I'm going to be charging sales tax, and you can see buyer tax percent over here. And I did add a tax percent to the little budget that I did for it. I'm going to be charging sales tax to my home buyer, so in that case I should be exempt from paying sales tax to any of the vendors. Study up on your sales tax laws for more about that, but if you're into remodeling a lot, I think you'll understand this. And I just check mark this because I wanted to remind the bookkeeper that if it's for this particular job, I may not be wanting to pay sales tax for the invoice that we received. I also set up and attached a buyer, Jim and Barbara Smith, to this job, which is required if you're going to do job cost billing. You're going to need to attach a payer or buyer to the job that you'll be selecting, because the invoice will be made out to that buyer and it knows which buyer based on the job that you select. So there's that about how I set up my little job for this. So let's close the draw request window and let's go to accounts receivable where it told us to go. And one of the buttons here is quick job cost billing only if not using draw requests. There is a little question mark button about it here that explains it a tiny bit, but now we're going to do it in our video. So the first thing that happens when I click the button is that it asks for the job. And there's my Smith remodeling, and it immediately put the buyer in because I had set that buyer up attached to the job. And it says the only jobs in this drop-down list will be ones that have a buyer other than miscellaneous on the job setup window. So I'm going to continue. And what CHS is going to do is go out and look for any job costs that have been posted for this job. And by job costs, it's ones that have been assigned a cost code other than 0. And by the way, if you hover over things, you can see a little pop-up telling you, like in this case, what the the cost code is there, what the title of the cost code is. But you can see that there's 3 costs that we've posted to these 3 different vendors. On our budget, we had a markup percent of 30%, and so when we posted these costs, these actual costs, a markup percent of 30% got attached to them. And for our job cost billing, we are going to bill for the marked up amount. If you have a 0 markup here because of whatever, then you can bill for just the straight costs. We also set up our job to charge tax to the buyer, sales tax to the buyer, and we put that in our budget. So it looked to the budget for any, and it says this up here, for this cost code, and if there was a sales tax percent attached, it dropped that in. So it's figuring out the sales tax, $884.82 here, and the total with tax. The reason this window opens first is for you to see all job costs that have not been drawn yet, not been included in a previous accounts receivable billing, and allows you to check mark and uncheck mark those as needed. You can click on things to sort columns, like if I click on the invoice date, it'll sort in ascending order. If I do it twice, it'll be in descending order. If I do it again, it's in ascending order. Or you could click on other column titles as needed. A lot of times it could be the invoice date because maybe you're only wanting to check mark through a certain date. You can unselect all unpaid costs, then you could start check marking the one you want. All costs, unselect all costs. If you don't want to be billing for costs that you have not paid, you can unselect all unpaid job costs, and you can see that status. These 2 are unpaid, but we're going to bill for all of them anyway. We're expecting to be paying that in the next couple of days. Or you could select all costs. So if I unselect all costs, and then I select all costs, you will see that they now get check marked again. But that's pretty self-explanatory. So when I'm through check marking the ones that I want to include on my invoice, I can do create invoice from selected costs. And then the next window, and you should probably use your help document to explain it a little bit. That'll help. CHS has supplied the payer and the job and an invoice number. The reason it's open and that there's a drop-down list is so you can review all the previous invoice numbers. You can see how CHS did the next one up. You could put in your own invoice number if you want, if it works, but usually you just let CHS do it. This date that you select here will be the date that this entries posted for accounts receivable here, and recognizing what your income here in a minute, this will be the date that CHS posts things to your books. Be sure to use 4 digits for the year. Then it asks for the GL account to post AR entries to, which is usually, as it says over here, a sales type of account. If this is for a small little job, It's probably actually not on a completed contract. You might be going ahead and recognizing the sales. So I know that's in the 3000 series and that I have a GL account for sales remodeling jobs. That means CHS will be posting the amounts straight to sales. And please watch other help about accounts receivable if you're not wanting it to be posted immediately to sales because you're on a cash basis. It also asks if I want to post sales tax, and I have yes selected. And then you need the account to post the sales tax payable to, which if you do a drop down, you need to select from your current liabilities, probably some sales tax payable account that the sales tax will be posted to, and then later on you come along and pay your state controller for the sales taxes that have accumulated in that GL account. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new AR invoice. I'm ready. It says it's been posted and that the window will close. This little message, since we cleared out, this window is for selecting job costs that have not yet been put on a bill. Well, now there's none. And for some reason, when you get a wait message on a window and there's no records left on the window, this little wait message won't close. I'm not quite sure why. So close that, and then we're done with our invoicing, and I'll close that. Now it said in a little pop-up message to review the entries that were posted. You could go to AR invoices and balances summary. And this is just a list grouped by payor of the total invoices. You can see there's 2 invoices for that payor, 4 invoices for that payor, and that we have 1 invoice for our payor that we were working on, this Smith remodeling job. We have 1 invoice, and we're going to drill down to this here in a second, but we could search just for invoices for that job if I wanted, so that they're not all displaying. So now that's all I've got on this window. But in order to see the detail of the records that were posted behind the invoice, you would click on this blue hyperlink for the invoice number, and you will see the entries that CHS made. CHS does, for the sales tax part of those entries, need to post them in separate lines for clarity and for keeping your books in balance, etc., etc. So you'll see that from the 3 costs that we had, there's now 6 records that were posted, and 3 of those were for the sales tax for each one. This window, if you'll watch help about accounts receivable, can be used to delete the whole invoice. If you click one X button, it will actually pop up and show you all these records and ask if you want to delete them all. If you want to edit anything about this invoice or any of the descriptions, you certainly can. After CHS has posted it, if I click to edit this invoice, I'll get all of those record lines. When you're through editing, I'm not going to sit and take the time to do that in this video. You could submit the AR invoice, but we're not really going to do an edit. Close, do not submit. But that's one way to do it. You can also upload and attach some document to AR invoice entries if there's some related PDF file or picture or something that you would like to attach to that accounting record. So we'll close that. So now, after we posted that invoice, we could go ahead and print an invoice. Now please watch help for accounts receivable. You'll see setup for accounts receivable and create an invoice, and various things about setting up the styles for printing the invoices, etc. will be in there. So you could set up a style. We'll just, for speed's sake, we'll just use the general style, and I'm going to select that payor that we were just posting all of that to, and I'll click to print the invoice, and you'll see it here, and you can export it to PDF, which will make it much nicer, especially if you've opened it where it's doing more than one invoice. That HTML will open first because it's nicer for exporting to PDF, so we need the HTML view that opens first, and you could also export it to Excel because of that. But now you'll see this. You can use your various PDF reader tools to email this or do file, save as, on your own computer and do what you like with these invoices. I'll close that. That is the invoice, how it looked. And like I said, you might have wanted to edit it, get these sales tax all onto one line, which might look nicer. And then you could also do statements as described in the accounts receivable. I'd like to show you one more thing as a result of doing a quick job cost billing. If you go to an actual cost database or other places where there's accounting records about that you're searching for job costs, I'm going to select our job, Smith Remodeling, and open the actual job cost database. Let it bring whatever records. There's our 3 records that we had posted to that job. But you'll notice quite often there's AR bill 65444. You can see that there. You could do some searching for things that have been billed or have not been billed, if you like, that kind of thing. So that's it for that, just to show you how that is. And you'll notice if you ever try to edit some of these payables bills that have been included in a job cost billing, it will prevent you from doing various things. If there's not a PO attached, you still won't be able to change the cost. Well, you might be able to change the cost code, that's right. But there's things that will object to you changing both over when you're editing vendor bills. It won't let you change some dates, some various things, because it's detecting that this won't let you change the job, especially because it's detecting that this has been included on a billing for that job. So you'd have to do, it'll give you a pop-up and say you might need to reverse this entry or something, and make a new entry. So anyway, that's about all there is to quick job cost billing. Again, that should only be used for just little small jobs that you're doing, I think. You should use the regular draw requests, etc., and not be getting them all those interim draw requests into accounts receivable, because it just adds extra work and is usually not that necessary. You can just recognize the income from an interim draw when you post the deposit. And thank you for watching. I hope that helps.